Welcome to What the Health with Josh and Kim, where we answer your most pressing questions about your health.
With 40 years combined experience in health and wellness and fitness and nutrition, we hope to bring you valuable information you can use daily to become your healthiest self. On your mark, get set. Here we go.
Okay. Wait, who's Mark?
So we're going to record this podcast episode live on video. Yeah, and do something a little different. Make Josh come out of his comfort zone.
Yeah. I guess, since that's what everybody wants.
Okay, so what's the topic? What's the topic?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
All right, so today we're going to be starting off with this major question. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So what the health is up with not being able to turn my mind off? It just goes and goes and goes. I get this from a lot of women, and I struggle with this a lot. So.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I am a busy person in terms of I always try to keep myself busy. I know the first thing that I did whenever, they said that we're going to have to shut the spa down, I was thinking, all right, well, what are some other things that I can do to occupy all this influx of time? And, I just started kind of going crazy with my thoughts and thinking about what I was wanting to do and what was actually beneficial, and then just kind of did all of that.
I didn't do that good. I created 14 new projects and then stressed myself out and cried.
Yeah, okay. I didn't cry, but whatever is just shy of that for guys. But I can definitely say that it did keep me up at night, kind of thinking about the team and trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for all the bills and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So definitely heavy on my mind. So I can guarantee you that I'm one of those who cannot shut my mind off. And that was even before all this happened.
Well, yeah, I think we actually talked about starting this podcast before all this happened. We didn't have all the restrictions and the shutdowns and everything when we started doing this. So we just added more after.
Yeah. I know. So on top of everything, I've been talking to other podcasters and everything, and other people who've been working. They're like, you know what? Honestly, we're busier than ever in terms of trying to figure out what we're going to do next.
Yeah, me too. I'm way busier now, and yeah, for sure. Oops. And like I said, it's just new projects and kind of stepping out of the comfort zone. But so do you think just having those reeling thoughts all the time, and I don't know, do you think it's a personality thing, or do you think it's obviously, I guess it's not just a girl thing, because I kind of thought for a long time it was just a girl thing, because my girlfriends would talk to me about it, or my clients would talk to me about it, or I would, which don't do this, but get on Facebook and everybody else is up at 2:00 in the morning too, not being able to shut their brains off. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's personality?
Okay. So yeah, I'm definitely thinking it's in the realm of personality. I think people who just like to be productive and get things done are naturally going to have a tendency to keep thinking about what they need to do next.
Yeah.
That's really where I fall in. Now, in terms of gender specific, I'm going to say maybe the slight difference that there is, please don't get mad at me for saying this. I know, right?
Careful now.
Is that, maybe men are less affected emotionally by the long list of things that they need to do. I'm going to say that it's not emotionally distressful for me.
I will give you that.
Okay.
I will concede that point, because I do think that women tend to personalize everything. And it affects, if we didn't get such and such and such done, or done at a certain level or within a certain time frame, then we take that on as part of our character. We were a bad whatever, mother, wife, client, teacher, whatever, and I think so. I will concede that thought. So I do think it's probably harder on women a lot of times, because you and I are a lot alike. That's why I said personality.
Yeah, definitely.
So I do think we kind of top A's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's just we always try to stay as productive as possible. And one thing I urge people is, the difference between, staying busy and actually being productive, so just because you're busy doing something doesn't mean you're actually, doing something to either push your career along or, make something better or help somebody, so I
Right.
think that's a big distinguishing factor there. So make sure that you're using your time wisely, in terms of if we're going to be occupying the limited amount of mental capacity that we have, you got to make sure that you're doing it to benefit yourself and others.
Well, and yeah. And I think sometimes too we overlook maybe some I have noticed, of course I'm well over 40 now, but that
Nobody
when
can tell, Kim.
yeah. Well, in my brain, I'm still like 29, so whatever. But it doesn't sound like I'm that old when I say it out loud. But um, hormones affected, and I hear this a lot, and I wrote about it a lot. But when your hormones are off and you're going through premenopause or menopause or whatever, it it really does kind of affect your brain and how you can think and how well you can focus. And I try to tell women who are of that age that maybe they should go have their hormones checked, because that can make you cuckoo bird real
Yeah.
quick.
Well, that's definitely something that a woman would have to tell a woman, because I think if a guy said that to a woman, that's not going to go over well.
I wouldn't recommend you doing that.
Right, right. They're like, I think you
You're
need to check your
hormonal.
hormones. And that's a one-way ticket out of the house.
Yeah, that's definitely just send it
So,
to me. I'll have that conversation. I don't mind.
right. So I'm
But
going to
what
go
do
ahead and
you
skip
think
this
about
conversation.
Well, what do you think about environmental though? I mean, do you think that you get worse or that your mind starts kind of reeling more from your environment? So like social media or
So, yeah, definitely. So just really quickly on the chemical hormone type thing,
yeah.
I just want to throw this out there as like a general thing. So it didn't come from me, but I would say the greatest example that I can think of, or the most dramatic one anyways, is the Super Size Me documentary. Do you remember watching that? Did
Oh
you ever?
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like, you put in crap, for lack of a better way of saying it, and then you end up producing, that type of result in your actions, in your thoughts. Um, and I mean, just ultimately what you're eating
Yep.
ultimately affects, the way that you think, what you do, and all that stuff. So I mean, that I think was an awesome documentary, not necessarily to bash McDonald's. I mean, I don't eat there, but
Well, no, but it's scientific that fat stores estrogen.
right.
And so when your hormone levels like estrogen are off, up or down, it's going to affect your mood. And we've all, as women, have experienced that through PMS and premenopause and those kinds of things. So, it's definitely bad in, bad out, good in, good out. So I think that, yeah, it's what you're reading, what you're intaking with what you see, hear, say, think, eat. Yeah. Breathe, all of those
Yeah.
kind of things. So yeah, for sure. I think, but what do you think about, like, do you think it's a learned behavior just to kind of have these unfocused spinning thoughts and unproductive and procrastination and then it's sleepless nights? And then I think that all equates into anxiety.
Yeah. So I think that it's like one of those vicious cycles, So you're kind of stressing about being, unfocused and, non-productive, or, you just can't stop the thoughts. And then, that ultimately keeps you from being productive, and then, you're starting to develop this anxiety of not being productive. And, just, it's a horrible vicious cycle.
Well, and it's that old adage of I'm nervous that I'm not going to be able to go to sleep. So then I can't go to sleep because I'm worried that I won't be able to sleep, or I will miss my alarm, or I won't remember to fill in the blank. And then you stay up all night and then you're stressed out because you know if you don't sleep, you're not going to do good. And it's just, yeah, it kind of feeds itself. Do you think it's a habit?
So I think that kind of plays into the question you asked me a little bit earlier. I didn't actually answer it. So when you were talking about environment, about social media and things,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, maybe before they go to sleep, since we're talking about, a racing mind maybe all the time, but then particularly before you go to sleep, I think people who maybe, excuse me, who, watch or look at social media right before they go to sleep. I mean, that's the last thing that you're going to think about. To me, social media tends to have a negative effect on your own mindset. Maybe one, you're seeing how awesome other people's lives are when, sometimes it's really easy to think that everybody's got a better life than you or they're doing better than you and different things like that. But I mean, I think the most important thing to realize is that, we're all human, we're all struggling together, especially through this time. Everybody's just trying to make the best of what's going on. But I
Well,
really think
and social media is just a snapshot of the
exactly,
pretty parts. And
exactly, and that's what people I think forget, and tend to idealize what other people are living, and that can kind of exacerbate your anxiety that you're not where you want to be, and that's the last thing that you're thinking about. So I don't think that should be your last thought. I do look at stuff like that, but before I go to sleep, I actually pray, and I've never told anybody this, like for real, and I'm thinking about it now. But before I go to sleep, I've been a football player for a long time,
yeah,
and for 6 years through school, and then flag football on and off here now or recently. And I always run a football play in my head. So I visualize myself being the quarterback, and I say, down set hut, run the play, we score a touchdown, and then I can go to sleep.
that is such a guy thing to say.
I mean, it might be, but that's what helps me like go to sleep. Like I'm thinking like this is my final thought. Like after I prayed, and then I'm like, all right, I need to do this, and then that's closure for me, I guess. Like, hey, this is
That's funny. So since you brought that up, I think that's brilliant. I have noticed since we started doing this shelter in place thing, that I have gone to bed later. We're off schedule. And so part of that's your problem, your fault, because we text back and forth about work. But it seems like there's not a true schedule. I don't feel like, that I'm on my typical schedule and my restrictions. And so I have found that I either get on a text message or scroll social media or something because everybody else is up off schedule too. And that has really kind of been something this week in particular that Tracy and I have talked about, my husband, about not doing that anymore because we pray together before we go to sleep. And then I have always had a hard time turning my mind off. And so I read these on my Kindle because I can set it to turn off in 15 minutes.
Mhm.
And so I have to distract myself. And I read these Christian mystery novels on Kindle that are like, my favorites are these little old ladies, and they solve mysteries, and it's just stupid and silly, and it means nothing, and I couldn't tell you anything at all about it other than that. But I fall
Yeah.
asleep easy, and it has little things in there. But I guess that's the girl version of running a football play before you fall asleep.
Okay. Well, I would say if I'm ever going to make that like advice, it's really me just kind of finishing the day on a positive note,
Yeah.
So whether it's real or, like kind of reflecting on some of the positive things that happened in the day. And, if I'm really restless, I might get on my phone for a little bit and make a list, so
Yeah.
that's definitely something that's helped me in terms of like how I actually calm my mind, whenever I get into that. Cause I mean, I'll tell you, I've had numerous sleepless nights because of just thinking about all the different things that I need to do.
Yeah, and that's something a long time ago, a friend of mine, I don't even remember who it was now, but he told me to do that. I was waking up worrying, like you said, about what I needed to do. I was afraid I was going to forget it, and just making that list before I go to bed of what I need to do the next day. That's a good tip. But some other ways, just fun ways throughout the day that you calm your mind, because I find that if my thoughts are spinning throughout the day and I take it to bed and they spin throughout the night, it kind of follows me into the next day. It's just like this vicious cycle. And so there's some things that I do. when I've got too many projects and I can't quite focus on getting anything done. I'm just kind of henpecking around from thing to thing. And I have to kind of, and then I start forgetting, and then I start kind of getting overwhelmed, and then I start procrastinating. And so let's talk about some things that we do that helps us refocus our mind and kind of stop the crazy train.
Yeah. Well, I guess, one, the list, I do that before I go to sleep, and then I revisit that list and see everything that I need to do. I'll add anything that I think about, as I'm getting ready for the day. And, just making those little check-offs, I mean, just it really makes you feel good about being productive, and I think that helps kind of minimize all the things. I think a lot of times everybody just tries to hold everything in their head. And once you make a list, sometimes you realize, oh, it's not as much as I thought it was going to be, or it's not going to take quite as long. And then sometimes you're like, wow, this is way too much.
That's going next month.
Right. Yeah.
Well, but then I have to filter it through okay, am I going to die if it's not going to get done? Or is somebody else going to die? Or will the earth, stop spinning or whatever? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. And something I haven't been able to do, and just mentally, I can feel the difference of, I usually get massages really regularly, and that's not just for my mental health, but like my physical body. I mean, you of all people, kind of what I've been through. And, it's just one of those things that I have to do. And, sometimes I have good days and bad days. And if I'm not getting massages regularly, then I tend to have more of those bad days, physically, which kind of goes into not being able to sleep as well. So there's just a lot of different things that I have to do. And then, floating helps too. But then lastly, if you're just truly overwhelmed, I think it's extremely important to have a friend to confide in. I can't emphasize enough the importance of, having like a mentor, a friend, or a counselor even, just somebody to talk to get all this stuff off your chest. Sometimes they can kind of help organize your thoughts. And sometimes we have a way of, making whatever's going on in our life worse just by like dwelling on it and those types of things where, if you just told somebody, they can tell you, oh yeah, it's not really that bad, or actually help you work through it,
Yeah, Tracy helps. He gives me good perspective, and he gives me perspective from a different way of thinking, because girls and guys think differently a lot of times. And I've got my girlfriends that I can call, and they're like, yeah, but sometimes I need a sounding board that just says, okay, you're just not even seeing that correctly, and kind of switches my view to a different direction. And that helps a lot. But I tend to, if I talk it out, sometimes that works, but sometimes it just kind of keeps it fresher. And sometimes for me, just totally drawing my attention and focusing it on something insignificant. So like a puzzle, or I've been doing this word find, this word search thing, and I'm old school. They're on your phone. You have all those apps now, and I've played those, but then you have other people that you can compete with, and then that's a totally different thing. And now I'm down that rabbit hole. So that's not good for me. But I went and bought one of those word search books where you circle it. And what I love about it is that there's one, it's small. It's like, I don't know, 15 words or something. And I can focus for a minute and find those, because I can't think about everything else while I do that. And I finish it. And like you, I'm a big check off the list kind of girl.
Right.
I want to check something off the list, even if I have to make something up. Like, I don't know, I got dressed today, check.
Yeah.
I want to check something today.
I'm also guilty of doing that. I was like, I already did this, but I'm going to write it down and check off that I did.
Man. If it's like I didn't get like my top 3 done, I'm a rule of 3 person. And if I didn't get my top 3 done, I start writing stuff. So it looks like I had a good list. But I do that like painting or color booking, or, today I got bubble wrap in the mail. I have been popping it like crazy. That's a stress reliever. I like to exercise, but I can't sometimes exercise 87 times a day with every spinning thought that I have. So but I do like to I like to do what I call prayer walks. And so I'll go outside, I take the dog, I go for a walk. I don't take my phone, so I'm not distracted. And then I can do my grateful list or pray list or, kind of talk it out with God. Or then also I'm a big journaler. I like to do a prayer journal or just write, write work on something else, a recipe or something that has nothing to do with whatever is in Crazy Town that day, you know.
Yeah, nice, nice. So I'm not big on, well, okay, so because ever since I got my Apple Watch, not to be like fancy or anything, but
Fancy.
you get to like talk to it, and you can like record memos and notes and stuff yourself. And my hands are always busy doing other things, and if I think of something, like, oh, I write this down, and then I can refer back to it, and that's helped me a ton. You know what I mean? Just that little feature alone, because I'll get random thoughts, but I can't break what I'm doing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just save that thought for later.
Yeah, I like that part of the. I know I'm spoilt too. I have one too, but they're
I,
so super handy for stuff
they
like that, and then timers, and then I'm so not techie, but you've actually helped me learn how to work this stupid watch finally.
are. Right. So those are things that we do, right, to
Yeah.
help us with all of that. But let's take it like a different direction. I think it's also not just important to, be proactive in minimizing those thoughts, but I think there are things that you have to like cut out also. So we can
Yes.
go into like what doesn't work for us. So what are some of those for you?
Yeah, I agree. I think that for sure knowing what not to do sometimes is even more beneficial, and know kind of what your triggers are. And so, for me, um, unless it's right before I go to bed, but just to read during the day a fiction or a fun novel, if I'm really trying to work through a problem or I have something heavy on my mind, I just find that my mind immediately goes right back to it, and I don't even know what I was reading, unless it's the Bible. Now, if I'm really word searching in the Bible and I'm, scripture searching there, I can stay pretty focused. But just to I sometimes find I need just the mental rest, not learn something new, not I've been trying to learn Spanish, and sometimes I'm like, my brain hurts. I need to just not think so hard. It hurts my head to focus and try to learn something. So that for sure is something that I try to stay away from, is insignificant, like pleasure reading, so to speak, or TV. Oh gosh, that is probably okay. If you want to know my number one vice, like probably my number one stumbling block in my whole entire life is TV.
Yeah.
That's so embarrassing for me for some reason. Like I find myself, because it's so against my character, but if I'm super duper stressed out and I sit down in front of the TV, I could sit down in front of the TV for like hours
Yeah.
and
No,
binge
trust me,
watch.
you're not alone in that at all. It's definitely one of those things that you can just be mindless, or if you get caught up in a story, it's like it's distracting you from your own things.
Yes. And you
Yeah.
procrastinate. And I'm like, I literally got nothing done today. It was the worst decision of my day, was to sit down and for just a minute and
Yeah.
relax. Yeah. Horrible. So TV for me is not one of those. What's one or so is
Well,
yours?
yeah. No, that's exactly the same. I mean, one of
Yeah.
my biggest things revolve around TV. So first thing, I don't watch the news.
Ew,
Um,
I don't either.
I know, but a lot of people, they're like, well, how are you supposed to know what's going on? I was like, well, somebody will tell me.
Someone will tell me.
Yeah, I mean, if it's really important.
If the
So,
world blows up, someone will let us know, or we will figure it out.
or you'll see it. Yeah. So it's like, somebody will tell me. But honestly, I can say that I haven't watched the news pretty much ever. I'll catch glimpses of it like at my parents' house, but everything just always seems to be framed so negatively. Like they're just, here's
Mhm.
what's wrong, instead of
Well, you're not sure it's true really anymore
yeah, well,
in the
that
beginning
too.
stages. So,
Yeah, and then another aspect of TV is I try my best not to start like a series on Netflix or Hulu because I am a finisher.
Me too. I will watch it until it's over. And
I
if
know.
that means 8 hours, then if that's what it takes, I'm
Right, right.
8 hours because we're
Yeah.
perfectionists.
Right, yeah. It's like, well, I'm being productive and efficient with my time because there are no commercials. So I'm not wasting any time.
Yeah, I
But
know. We have I have this hard and fast rule that we're not going to start a new series until we finish a series.
right. I mean that's probably for the
So we're only allowed like a certain amount of series that we've and
yeah.
now though you don't wait week to week. You watch the whole thing.
Right. And I hate having to wait week to week, so I definitely don't start series that are ongoing or whatever that are not current.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bigger wait of time. So it makes me better just go through them. But
Wait,
yeah, I
say
mean,
that
I'll be the
again.
first.
You broke up.
Oh, sorry.
You sounded like Max Headroom.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll say it again. What did I say? Oh, yeah, just that I feel better about watching them straight through. I never like to watch the ones that are ongoing because then I'm watching commercials and then I have all this extra anxiety about wondering what the heck is going to happen from one week to the next.
I
You
think
know,
that's called a justification for your actions.
it probably is. It
I don't
probably is.
think
Well,
that's
I
the
mean,
way it's gonna work.
I'll be the first to admit that I have an obsessive personality, but
Yeah.
I mean, I have to get closure. And, the whole time I am guilt tripping myself for not being productive. So that does kind of add to some anxiety. So I try my best to cut that out. So there are some series that I do binge on, but, it's just one of those things.
We've started, I have to have restriction. And I'm just going to admit it. It's so embarrassing, but I'm going to say it. It's so bad. I have had to have Tracy take the remote controls with him. If I'm in a, so, so, so here was my problem. And this, I don't know if this makes it worse or not or better, but I was writing 2 books at the same time. Don't do that, by the way. Don't just start one, finish it, then start a new one. But I was writing 2 at the same time and I was getting super duper stressed out. And then I was kind of, my mind was divided and it was just horrible. And I did, like you said, I have a mentor who came and she was like, okay, this is your schedule now. You cannot do this and that. And she just gave me a schedule and I'm a obedient person and I followed it and I got it done. But when I got super overwhelmed and was not seeing progress on either one, obviously, I would sit and veg in front of the TV and then get nothing done and definitely see no progress. So I had to have Tracy take the remote controls to work so that I literally could not
That's
do it. And so then from that stemmed our restrictions of, okay, we're going to allow a down day. And so then we, said this is going to be a down day today and we're going to watch blah. But we gave ourselves permission. So it wasn't like we were, hopefully feeling too guilty about it. Although it was,
Yeah, no, I think that's an important point. I think that would help me also, but I'm
So if
working on.
you want Tracy to come get your remote control and take it to work, he will do it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not currently watching any series right now, so I think I'm
Yeah,
doing a good job. I'm just trying to keep myself busy with all this other stuff. But
exactly.
I'd say the last thing on my list is, or things that, since we're talking about what doesn't work for us,
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't laughed enough. Then I try to make it a point to, you know, find something funny. I'm a happy person, so I always need to laugh. And I mean, it's usually laughing at myself, so I don't have any trouble in that area usually.
Yeah.
But I always try to find something positive. Maybe watch like a short clip of something that's funny, just to kind of get my spirit.
Ooh, you know what we love to watch, and I do that too. It's called dry bar comedy.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. That's kind of what I love
I
to. Yeah,
love those because they're short. They're like 4 or 5 minutes long,
right.
and it's super funny, and it's not like crude or cussing or anything gross. So it's pretty funny. So you can watch it, around whoever happens to be around. But Yeah, I totally agree. And I think we just had this conversation about how hard our today's Wednesday for us, how hard our Wednesdays are. And, but that we enjoy chit chatting with each other because we laugh the whole entire time. So we need to keep this meeting on the Wednesday, because by then, we need a good laugh, and we laugh a lot. I think too, another one for me is social media, a lot of times, just because it's so distracting, go down so many different rabbit holes and watch 100,000 different things, and all of a sudden you don't even know why you were on there in the first place. So
Oh yeah. I think a lot of people do. I hate to use the word waste. I mean, because sometimes you can be productive on social media, but I mean, let's just call it what it is. You could be doing something else, but sometimes people use that to make themselves feel better. It's just one of those things. It's all a matter of perspective and how you actually use it. But I mean, I think it's pretty easy to get stuck on there. I know YouTube's exactly the same, where you can end up spending hours just watching videos.
Yeah, stupid things people are doing. So yeah, I think the whole conclusion here is to find some things that will distract your mind, that will stop the spinning. Actually, if you can stop it by redirecting and refocusing your attention somewhere else for a short period of time, and then fill yourself back up with something good. If it's spinning out of control because of some negative thoughts, comparison, or whatever was happening, that's definitely the way to go. And then allow yourself to get some mental rest, and then you're going to be able to actually sleep again, which makes everything better. And then just eliminate the stuff that are triggers for you. If you can figure out those, then you're ahead of the game already.
Yeah. I mean, I think that cool.
You got any other thoughts about it?
I don't. I feel like we pretty much nailed that. Yeah, I mean,
Beat that horse to death.
yeah, I think so. I think so. I think if you have trouble, closing your thoughts or bringing your thoughts to an end, feel free to reach out to us, and maybe we can give you some other tips or pointers, or make you laugh or distract you somehow.
Exactly. Well, okay. So we're going to upload this and edit it down into a concise and short podcast episode. So y'all can find it on there, the recording there. And hopefully you enjoyed a little of the inside scoop video-wise on the process. All the laughing is usually edited out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think if you don't see somebody laughing, then it's just weird.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think that's a function on like the sound machines at home, like for sleep, is laughing. Ocean, white noise, laughter.
Right. Oh, that's funny. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that concludes this episode. Hope y'all stay tuned. Definitely like and subscribe to our new podcast. So if y'all want to hear more episodes, go to getfitwithkimtoday.com/podcast, and you can see all of our current episodes there. We got one coming out every Wednesday from here on out.
Yeah. What the hell?
What the health?
All right. K out.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed our time together today. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our most current episodes.
If you have something that leaves you asking, what the health? We would love to hear from you. Go to getfitwithkimtoday.com/podcast to connect with us and submit your comments or questions.
Be sure to get your free smoothie recipes ebook on our site as well.
Until next time,
stay strong
and live well.